children, today we are going to learn a very important story from the Bible. It is the story of the 10 plagues of Egypt. These plagues were special events that happened long, long ago. They are found in the book of Exodus, in the Old Testament. So, let's begin. What led to the plagues? You see, a long time ago, the Israelites, God's people, were living in Egypt, but they were not free. They were slaves. They worked very hard, building and carrying heavy loads, but they were treated badly. The people cried out to God for help, and God listened. He chose a man named Moses to lead his people out of Egypt and into freedom. But there was a problem. The king of Egypt, called Pharaoh, did not want to let the Israelites go. He wanted them to keep working as slaves. So God sent Moses to Pharaoh with a message, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh was stubborn and said, "No." That is when God allowed plagues to happen in Egypt. Who was responsible? The plagues were sent by God, but they happened because Pharaoh refused to obey God. Every time God gave him a chance to change his heart, Pharaoh became even more stubborn. So the plagues kept coming, one after another. The 10 plagues, one by one. Let's look at each plague. Try to imagine them, and you'll see why they were so powerful. First plague, water turns to blood. Moses raised his staff over the river Nile, and suddenly the water turned into blood. The fish died. The river smelled very bad. People could not drink the water. Imagine if you went to the top for a glass of water, and red blood came out instead. Scary, right? But Pharaoh still refused to let the Israelites go. Second plague, frogs everywhere. God sent frogs all over Egypt. Frogs came out of the river, into people's houses, kitchens, and even their beds. When Pharaoh woke up, frogs were jumping everywhere. It was uncomfortable and messy. Pharaoh begged Moses to ask God to take the frogs away. Moses prayed, and the frogs died. But guess what? Pharaoh changed his mind and said, "No, the Israelites must stay." Third plague, gnats or lice. Then God sent tiny insects. The dust of the ground turned into gnats. They crawled on people and animals. Imagine little bugs everywhere, itching and biting. Even Pharaoh's magicians said, "This is the finger of God," but Pharaoh still refused. Fourth plague, flies. Next came swarms of flies. Buzzing, biting flies filled the houses of Egyptians. The land was ruined. But something special happened. The Israelites' land in Goshen had no flies at all. This showed God was protecting his people. Still, Pharaoh's heart was hard. Fifth plague, death of animals. God sent a sickness on the animals of the Egyptians. Horses, donkeys, camels, sheep, and cows died. But the Israelites' animals were safe. Pharaoh checked to see if it was true. And yes, the Israelites' animals lived. Yet he still said no. Sixth plague, boils on the skin. Next, God told Moses to throw ashes into the air, and painful boils appeared on people and animals. Egyptians had sores all over their bodies. Even Pharaoh's magicians couldn't stand before Moses because they were in pain. But Pharaoh still refused to listen. Seventh plague, hailstorm. God sent a terrible storm of hail mixed with fire. Huge balls of ice rained down, destroying crops and trees. Animals left outside died. It was the worst storm Egypt had ever seen. Pharaoh cried, "I have sinned. I will let the Israelites go." But when the hail stopped, he changed his mind again. Eighth plague, locusts. Then God sent hungry locusts. They came in swarms so thick they darkened the land. They ate every plant and tree left after the hail. Egypt's land was completely bare. Pharaoh begged Moses to take them away, but once the locusts left, he hardened his heart again. Ninth plague, darkness. For 3 whole days, Egypt was covered in complete darkness. No one could see anything. People could not even leave their homes. But in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived, there was light. Still, Pharaoh refused to let them go. 10th plague, death of the firstborn. This was the most serious plague. God warned Pharaoh through Moses. Every firstborn son in Egypt would die, even Pharaoh's own son. But God gave his people instructions. They had to mark their doors with the blood of a lamb. That night, the angel of death passed through Egypt. Wherever there was blood on the door, the family was safe. But in Egyptian homes, the firstborn sons died. Pharaoh finally gave up. He told Moses, "Take your people and go." And so, the Israelites were set free. Lessons for us. The story of the plagues teaches us God is powerful and in control. God protects his people. We should not be stubborn like Pharaoh. God always keeps his promises. Now, let me ask you, which plague do you think was the scariest? Why did the plagues happen? Now, children, you may ask, why did God send all these plagues? The plagues happened because God wanted Pharaoh to know that he is the one true God. God wanted to show his power. Most importantly, God wanted to set his people free from slavery. Finally, after the 10th plague, Pharaoh gave up. He said, "Go, leave Egypt," and just like that, the Israelites were free. What can we learn? Children, the story of the plagues teaches us important lessons. God listens when his people cry for help. God is more powerful than any king or ruler. We should not be stubborn like Pharaoh. Instead, we should obey God. God always keeps his promises. He promised to free the Israelites, and he did. And that, children, is the story of the 10 plagues of Egypt. I hope you now understand why they happened, who was responsible, and what they mean. If you like this Bible lesson, don't forget to share what you learned with your friends and family. And remember, always listen to God's voice. Bye-bye. Until next time.